Hi everyone, this is Tanya from Flying Dog Studio. Thank you so much for joining me for part 3 as I am continuing with my loose painting with the Caran Neocolor II water-soluble oil pastels. If you haven't caught part 1 and 2, I am going to link those down below. And if you're watching this in order as I'm posting it in March of 2025, then this is a Thursday and you will see the final video tomorrow on Friday. So you can see in the upper right hand corner, that is where we are going. That is this piece completely finished. That's the future piece. And the one we're working on today, I am starting a little bit different technique. And with each successive video, we are trying to define those shapes a bit more. So what I am using to the right-hand side, you can see a little mat there. If you've watched any of my other videos, you may have seen me pull this out. If not, this is actually a miniature cutting board that I got from our local Walmart when I did a grocery pickup. It was a, quote, free gift. It serves absolutely no purpose in my kitchen, but the back of it has a wonderful texture that I can color on like this and then turn it into watercolor that I can just use straight off of the mat, and that's what you're seeing here. So my brush technique has changed as well, not just the method that I'm applying the color, which is more of a watercolor technique for applying the color, but my method for putting it down, the brush strokes, I'm using more of the, what I say to my students, dots and dashes. So I'm applying it with a tapping motion. And that is going to allow me to get more of the flower shape. That's going to allow me to make it look a little bit more like an impressionist painting. And I do not have the rag in my hand. Normally I have that rag in my hand. I told you I keep a cloth. I keep a microfiber cloth, and you can use either a paper towel or any other type of cloth to keep control of the water on your brush, and I'll pull that back out later and use it. But right now the only water I am using is what is on that mat that you see to the right. I do not have an excessive amount of water in my brush. As we get closer to the end, I'm going to use less and less water to apply the color. I will go back and color on the paper again, but to get some of these little flowers that are still out of focus, yet I want you to be able to tell they're individual flowers, this was the best way to do it. Instead of coloring on the paper, I have a large amount of them to do. I thought it would be best to do it more like a watercolor application. So that's what you're going to be seeing here. And I'm going to be doing that some of the trees as well. And I'm going to get off from talking now and let you watch me work, and then I'll hop back on in a minute and talk a bit more. As I promised, I have picked up the crayons and I'm coloring back on top of the piece again. I'm not using the straight watercolor type technique, and you'll notice that while I have been talking about you have to activate all the pigment, you have to activate all the pigment, because I'm not going to be adding color on top of most of this, I'm not activating all of the pigment. I want this to really stand out on top of the greens and the purples, because some of these had some really white bright spots. I think they were a mixture of white and purple flowers, plus the sun was hitting them and giving them some of that backlight. So this was going to allow me to create that. Some areas I will completely activate this white. But again, as I spoke in video number 2, if you've had a chance to watch that, a lot of people tell you do not use white, use the white of your paper. I do use the white of my paper, but there are some instances when I need to use the actual white that's with the medium, whether it's watercolor or in this case, the Neocolor pastels, or if I'm using colored pencils, or if I'm using regular acrylic paint, I will have to use white to get the tints that I need. So that's what you see me doing here, and not all of the pigment will be activated because I want some of that to stay bright white, and that is a good way to do it. One thing I really like about these Neocolor IIs is that I can color right on top of something that's already down, and if I put just a little bit of water on it, it's going to make it look like everything else, but it's going to allow it to stand out on top of dark, because that dark in the background with the purple and also those greens, it would be really hard to come back with white watercolor and actually paint on top of those. But with these Neocolor pastels, you can do that. So that is a wonderful thing. Really love these, and I'm going to be using them a lot more in the future. I had mentioned this in the, I think, first video, that I'm not going to be talking a lot about colors. I'm mainly going to be talking about technique, but I did want to mention these 3 colors that I put down on here. You have, I believe that's called grass green, the bottom one, and then I have an olive color to the upper left, and then the darkest color, that is the umber color. And that is the color I'm using to mix and get darker colors to stay away from black, because if I want this to be a true impressionist painting, I'm going to want to stay away from black. And right now umber is allowing me to do that. So that is the color that you see on there, which is, as you can see, it just takes those greens and it knocks them back a little bit, almost makes it a blue green, which I'm putting it on top of purple. So you have that underneath, you have that transparency that's also creating a little bit of dark and a little bit of depth, a little bit of different shade there. But if you have umber in your set, that is a wonderful color to use to kind of darken things up and make shades for you. If you use Neocolor II and you have something other than black that you use to darken your colors, please let me know down below, because I am looking to purchase some more of these kind of in stock and make my own set, because there were a lot of these. I believe I have a 40 piece set. I think it's a 40 crayon set. I'm not going to be using all of those colors, but I do want to create my own set. So if there are some that you use that you're like, this is my standby color, I have to have this, this is my ride or die color, let me know what that is down below, because I would love to add some gray colors to my palette as well. the trees are one area where you can really see the benefit of laying down a wash underneath. That blue green that I added at the beginning, that was super bright, and then I put the umber on top, it is still showing through. So as I'm coming back with just some umber, and I believe I used some brown in here as well, that allowed me to come on top and do my dots and dashes and leave some space in there to create that light that's coming through the tree. So you can see I'm not being consistent where my dots are right on top of one another. I'm leaving some space in there, and that's going to allow some different colors in the tree and allow it to look as if the light is shining through those branches. And with that, we are coming to the end of part 3. I do hope you will join me for part 4, which will be coming out tomorrow. And again, if you're watching this as I am posting it, that will be on a Friday. And if you have any comments or questions, please put those down below. And also, don't forget to let me know your favorite Neocolor II pastels in your set, because if I don't have them in my set, I'm probably going to want to add them because I want to get the perfect curated set. So let me know what you use. Just so you know where we started in the lower right hand corner, that is what this piece looked like when we started at the beginning of the video, and this is where we are now. So I do hope again that you'll join me tomorrow. I'm always so happy when you're here, and I will see you in the next one.